advocate for what you're doing is, to me at least, you're definitely calling OnlyFans sinful. And that really gets to a real core cultural issue. You know, pornography is out there. It is legal. So if it's legal, why a sin tax?
And by the way, I forgot to say, a 50% tax is what you're proposing.
Right.
Well, Harvey, it's really simple. I don't want young girls, young women in Florida who are smart and capable to be told that they have to do this for a living. They can be nurses, doctors, veterinarians, bus drivers. They can even be, dare I say, stay-at-home moms. The Christian and American thing for us to do for these young women is to not allow them to be exploited and abused by that disgraceful platform known as OnlyFans. And I'm running for Florida governor to protect our young women. And the right way to do that is to create a tax that is so high that it is a deterrent and an active disincentive that is going to stop the use of this platform so young women can go back to living their lives. I meet young women all across the state every single day, and one thing they talk about is the way they've been objectified and commodified. And look, I'm not going to single out women. Men are to blame for this as well. And so if I'm governor of Florida, if I'm elected on August 18th, 2026 as the Republican candidate to succeed Ron DeSantis, we're passing a 50% tax on all OnlyFans income. And guess what? For Sophie Rain, who is a proud resident of Florida, that means she's going to have to pay $42 million. $42 million, Charles, to the state of Florida, which I'm going to use for two purposes. We're going to increase public school teacher pay, and we're going to improve school lunches, something that Michelle Obama promised and never got around to.
So it's interesting, James, you said that you don't want young women to be told they have to do OnlyFans content. I think, and you mentioned Sophie Rain, so I should tell you, we've spoken to her. She said, nobody told me that I have to be on OnlyFans. And I think there are a large number of women who would say, no one told me to do this. This is something I chose to do. And you want to disincentivize them from making that choice.
Our society, Charles, has told them to do that. The way that someone like Sophie Rain, who is young and smart and capable, the way that we have venerated and exemplified and commodified and objectified her and her body, she is effectively being told to do so by a system that puts her on that pedestal. The sick men who follow her and pay her, and the sick middlemen who called OnlyFans, who financialize that entire transaction, she is being told. I don't believe that Sophie Rain does have a choice. I believe in individual accountability, but I believe that our culture right now tells women like Sophie Rain that they have to do this and there's no other choice. I would love to see Sophie Rain be a stay-at-home mom. I'd love to see her be a nurse. I'd love for her to be a teacher and to lift up young women across this country. My grandmother, who passed last year, she was a public school teacher of 20 years in Broward County. And I want to see young women aspire to be just like my own grandmother, leading in their community, not leading and drawing young men into sin. That's exactly what OnlyFans is. As Florida governor, I'll be proud to pass a 50% OnlyFans sin tax.
So here's the argument that you want Sophie Rain to be a nurse, but she doesn't. And this is a free country that is anchored in the First Amendment, which talks about freedom of expression. So even though you find it abhorrent, at a point, if you, like you said, what you're doing is you're trying to raise a tax and make it so high that nobody will do it. Do you have any concern that you're running afoul of the First Amendment by basically foreclosing somebody's lawful option? Because I have to tell you, when we did our documentary, we interviewed several stay-at-home moms who say they are more present with their children because they're not a nurse. They can make enough money to live comfortably and be around their children all the time.
Harvey, I'm going to call cap on that because stay-at-home moms have existed for the entirety of our nation's history, and they were doing sourdough starters and churning butter and raising their children and rearing their children without needing to sell their bodies online to sick men around the world.
Well, I mean, there was no internet. You're talking about they were churning butter. They didn't have the option of an internet.
Oh, so Charles, so in the 1950s, if the internet had existed, those women would have felt compelled to sell their bodies online. I don't think so. I think what's happened is because we become a society that has put this sinful act on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And look, there are things that I want to do that are going to be extremely pro-women. I want to bring paid maternity leave, be the first Republican state in the country to do that. I believe that we have to dignify, protect, and celebrate our women. We celebrate their accomplishments when they do incredible work in the education space, in healthcare, in agriculture. I meet women like Emily Flood a couple weeks ago in Frostproof, Florida. She is is an 8th-generation citrus farmer. We need to tell more about her story and the story of young women like her all over the state who are doing right and contributing. And if Sophie Rain wants to keep doing OnlyFans, she can be my guest, but she's going to pay 50% of her income. And Harvey, that means that Sophie Rain is going to write the state of Florida, when I am governor, a $42 million check. I'm going to use that money for two things.
Shit, how the hell does she make that much money? That's fucking crazy.
In Florida, it is the 3rd lowest in the country, and that is unacceptable. And I'm going to also improve school lunches because our kids need to have a great meal when they come to school so they can be fueled for an exciting, productive day of education.
Yeah, we're out of time, but I will say that if you are doing this where the people on OnlyFans are paying to basically fund the schools and fund other programs you have, and you're putting it on their back.
That's actually a good idea.
I gotta say, just legally, I
That's-
think you're in treacherous ground.
that's actually a
because,
great idea.
you know, you're making a moral and value judgment on a legal profession and making it almost impossible for them to do business.
Well, I want it to be impossible for them to do business, Harvey. I don't want our young women to be sold the lie that they have to sell their bodies online, that they can't be nurses, doctors, or be farmers. I want our young women to be celebrated. I want young women to aspire to be something greater than the commodified, objectified industry that OnlyFans has pushed on them. That's a slam.
This guy's got a very valid point, you know what I mean? Because OnlyFans models, it's horrendous when you figure out they make more than plumbers, electricians, blue-collar workers. Doesn't matter if you're a Red Seal chef, executive chef at a golf course or a cruise ship. These OnlyFans models are making more than them. Making more than police officers, firefighters. So you know what I mean? Like, if they're making so much money, they could give up a little portion of it or half of it. And this guy's got a good idea. Let's help build the infrastructure. Let's repair the roads, right? There's tons of cities around Canada and USA that need new overpasses, everything like that, right? New schools, right? Affordable housing. There's barely any housing or apartments available in Canada here, British Columbia, and there's more people looking for rent than there's places available. So, right? So if you take all of these OnlyFans models who are millionaires or making above $100,000 a year, we'll take a portion of their income and put it back into the economy. That's a great plan, actually. Because you know what I mean? You can cry and boohoo all you want, but I used to be a crypto trader back in the day trading in the early 2000s, and hey, it was free, wild west, free reign back in the day. They didn't tax us on nothing. But now they crack down. You have to link up your bank accounts. You have to file taxes when you do crypto, and you know what? It sucks, but it happened to crypto, so I don't think it's an infringement of anybody's freedoms or rights to tax these OnlyFans models, because it happened to us crypto day traders. So and that was our secondary income. So this is their secondary income. Hey, it can happen to them too.
I'm running for Florida governor to protect our young women, and I'd be honored to have everyone's vote as a Republican candidate on August 18th, 2026.
Just before we go, two quick things. There are not only young women who are on OnlyFans, there are young men who are on also. I imagine
It would apply to them as well.
Right, it would apply
to them as well.
You call it a sin tax. If they are committing a sin, are the people who are paying them, who are their subscribers, also committing the sin, and why aren't they being taxed?
They are committing a sin, and they will also be taxed indirectly because now those earnings are going to be filtered through. So it's all connected through the financial
Yeah, but
transaction.
then you're saying she's just going to raise her prices.
Right.
Well, that's the whole point. If you raise the prices beyond the point where people are going to pay, then it disincentivizes the entire transaction. I was an econ major. I worked at a hedge fund as an economic derivatives trader for a decade, Harvey, and so I understand the way that incentives and disincentives work.
That's true,
And if you
but you
raise the
can't,
price on something,
underestimate the value of sex.
underestimate Sophie Rain. She seems to have made a lot of money. But Sophie, with all due respect to you, you're in Florida. I would say I'm happy to meet with you, but that would draw some conclusions for the public. What I would say to Sophie Rain very simply is this: you are young, you are smart, and you are capable, and you can do a heck of a lot better. You have two choices if I'm governor, Sophie. You can pay us the $42 million in back taxes you owe on your lifetime OnlyFans earnings, or you can stop doing that and doing something noble and worthwhile, and I look forward to celebrating your wins there.
Okay. Well, and also she may just choose to leave Florida. When
That's
she won't
fine
have
by
that
me.
tax.
That's fine by me.
Which might happen with a lot of OnlyFans creators.
They can get out. They can all get out. They're not adding anything to the state, Charles. If OnlyFans models want to downtown Miami
Yeah.
and want to turn us into some red world brothel. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
No.
So if the women want to leave, so be it. We'll welcome more women who want to do right by their communities, work in healthcare,
Exactly.
be it stay-at-home moms, be farmers, celebrate that feminine energy of what it means to
Yeah.
be a woman. And no, being a woman does not mean selling your body on the internet.
Yeah, it doesn't mean having sex with everybody in town.
They can be lawyers and doctors. But Harvey, I mean, how much time do we have? I can,
But your
Harvey.
go-to for this whole time has been nurses and homemaker.
Okay, Harvey, they can be doctors, they can be lawyers, and Harvey, listen to this, they can even be the president of the United States. I would want to see Sophie Rain do something worthwhile with her life, as opposed to selling her body on the internet for young, sick men, and then to have that platform essentially exploit and abuse young women. It's not personal. I just don't want a society where we're putting that sort of immorality on a pedestal, and that's exactly why I'm running for Florida governor to succeed Ron
Okay.
DeSantis.
The voters of Florida will make that decision. Thank you so much for being with us, James.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Sophie Rain's for president.
So that's what I heard. I heard say Sophie Rain could be president.
Coming up.
But anyway, the governor had a very valid point, because it's even hard in today's world, for the dating world, for us single guys, right? I'm in my early 30s and I can't find a decent woman. It's all about morality, right? I would never date an OnlyFans model, and nowadays when you go on a date, you almost have to ask pretty much, are you an OnlyFans models or it's just, or have you participated in any gangbangs or orgies or anything like that? Because it seems like that's the norm. A lot of women and young girls are doing that nowadays, and we live in a world where heinous acts of debauchery have overpowered our society, and a lot of women my age, in their 30s, all they do is party and do hard drugs, and you know what I mean? That's why I'm single. I'm not going to settle down with somebody like that. Like, no, I deserve way better than that. So I haven't found anybody worthwhile to settle down with. So, but with this OnlyFans stuff, it makes it even harder and harder to find a decent woman with good morals, and yeah. So, but anyway, just thought I would let you all know about this interesting video that I found today. Anyway, this is Brando, Truth Assassin. Stay tuned for the next video.